Hello ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Mogel here again. Another little video on some writing tips, continuing on with that contract law stuff. I know, it's boring, but this is important stuff for you future writers and current writers to understand and know. Contracts are your bread and butter when it comes to getting money for your writing. So, that being said, I'm going to cover some stuff with regard to plagiarism rights and law. I'm going to go right out of a couple of contracts of mine. I'm going to start by reading off one of these. This is one of the smaller contracts I have. And it doesn't at first seem like it's protecting you from plagiarism, but I'm going to explain how sometimes those odd little clauses actually are. Let's start with this. So this is clause number 4. Author's warranties, representation, and indemnities. The author represents and warrants that he/she is the sole author of the work, that the work is original, and that no one has reserved the rights granted in this agreement. The author also represents, to the best of his/her knowledge, that the work contains no matter unlawful in its content, does not violate the rights of any third party, and has the rights granted in this contract are free and clear, and that the author has full power to grant such rights to the publisher. The author agrees to hold the publisher harmless and indemnified from all damages, costs, expenses directly resulting from a finally sustained judgment relating to any legal action incurred by the author arising from breach of the above warranties. That doesn't sound like it's protecting you from copyright infringement, does it? But what it means is that you, as the author, are guaranteeing you are the sole author of the work. That also means that the publishers are saying, we don't want to work with someone who's going to plagiarize. If you're plagiarizing, the publishers are basically saying, not on our heads. No. So that means that someone plagiarizes your work, they're not getting any money out of it. If it's found that they have plagiarized, the publishers are going, hands off, you're not getting anything. Done. It's kind of like, and we've heard it all very recently in the news because of the anti-vaxxers, herd immunity. That's kind of what this is. This is a herd immunity. This is enough publishers say we're not going to work if there's even the remote possibility that this is plagiarized, and if the work turns out to be plagiarized, we're taking an utter hands-off approach and you don't get a dime. It dissuades people who would plagiarize from plagiarizing, and that protects you. It's kind of a herd immunity type thing. It's a little odd, a little awkward perhaps, but it does protect you as an author of original work. It's an important thing to keep in mind. Sometimes those weird little clauses, you kind of have to stop and think about them and go, what does that really mean? Wait a minute, if the people who plagiarize aren't getting anything out of it, then they're not going to be as likely to plagiarize. My work is going to be more protected that way. Okay, that works. So that's that. That's one. This is a far more in-depth set of contract clauses that protect you very directly from plagiarism. This is a bigger publishing house than the previous one as well, so that's another thing to keep in mind. So author's warranties. This is some of the very similar to the stuff I just read from the other contract. The author hereby represents and warrants to the publisher the following: that the author is the sole author of the work, that the author holds the full power and authority to grant these rights, that the work has not been published in any format with any company or person that may still own property rights to the work. That just means that if you've published it before and someone else still has rights to it, you can't publish through them. It's protecting other publishers as well as protecting you, the author. That the work does not infringe on any copyright or proprietary right, common law, or statutory law, and does not contain any material of a libelous nature or constitute a violation of privacy rights. This is protecting third party. You can't write a short story about how your neighbor is a jerk and use his or her name and expect to publish it and have the publishers be okay with that. That libelous nature. You don't write about someone directly. If you want to write about an obnoxious neighbor, you change their name and change their physical description somewhat, and then write about them. That's not libelous. This is part of the reason why understanding contract law, particularly in the state where the company is or your own state, is important. If you know what libel is in your state, you know how to avoid it. It's right in the contract. So, jump ahead to some other, this is a little more important here. This is in the miscellaneous category for this particular contract. Okay, this is the last clause in the miscellaneous. Copyright infringement. In the event of copyright infringement for the duration of this contract, the publisher may, at the publisher's expense, bear in mind, publisher's expense, take legal action in order to halt the infringement and or seek damages from the infringing party. Now that's about halfway through the clause. I'm going to stop for a second and explain this. The publishers don't want you being plagiarized for the same reason that you don't want to be plagiarized. It's a loss of income. The publishers will lose money if someone else is plagiarizing a story that they have in print, because other people will go, oh, we can buy this story from over there and they're asking for less money. The publishers have a vested interest in protecting your copyrights as long as you are published through them. Keep that in mind. The publishers have a vested interest in protecting your copyrights as long as you are being published through them. You provide them the content, they provide you the sales. One hand washes the other. That's why this clause exists. To continue reading the clause, the publisher shall not be required to take such legal action, nor shall the publisher be liable to the author should the publisher refuse to take such action. This is just basically saying in an instance where the publisher would basically go bankrupt if they tried to pursue an instance of plagiarism, they're not going to take that action. It's going to be on your shoulders to do that. They're just covering themselves in case the situation goes out of hand. Should the publisher refuse, the author may then, at the author's expense, take such legal action. This is another great example of you being very directly protected. In this case, these publishers, people I've worked with repeatedly and I'm working with in the future as well, do a great job. They will protect your legal rights to your story as an author. This is an important thing to keep in mind. The publishers want to protect your work. Your work is what they sell to make money. You give your work to them to sell so that you can make money. It really is one hand washes the other. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours situation. Work with your publishers, they will work with you. And you will see these types of things in your contracts when you get contracts and you sign them. And I hope that you will have a better understanding of exactly what you're going to see in those contracts. And really, just like with the submission page on the website, always read through the entire contract. Now, if you notice that on a couple of these contracts, there are actually points where you have to initial it. So you have to demonstrate that you've at least gone through the pages. Publishers want to know this. Now, I think I've rambled on enough about this particular section of contract law for today. I'll get back to you with some more stuff because there's still more on contracts, believe it or not. I mean, contracts are a huge part of this. And you really do need to have an understanding of exactly what you're getting into when you have a contract. So, again, like and subscribe below. If you have any questions on this or any other topics I've covered so far, you can get my email address through my YouTube channel, or you can go to my website, which is going to be in the comments bar below, and you can get my email through my website. Either way, if you have any questions, contact me. I will answer. Thank you very much, and cheers.